Dead of Night Network presents Archives of the Unknown. Let's get into it.
Raina, do you want to get it started and let's hop right in?
All right. Around November, we went out towards that way with my mom, my grandma, my aunt, and a family friend of my mother's. Um, we had it was pretty smooth the first couple of days. We did all the touristy stuff. We had a three-bedroom Airbnb. It might have No, it was a two-bedroom Airbnb. Bro, look at this, y'all. And we everything was smooth. We went to all the touristy shops, and I had purchased a smaller version of this. Um, it was advertised on the tag as a spirit orb, but we had later found out that it's a witch's ball. Um, so what was on the tag of this witch's ball? It had said it was to repel negative spirits. Um, and I thought that sounds handy, and I just wore it as a purse charm because it was convenient and small. There's That's what it looked like right there, just attached to my purse.
Okay, nice.
And I just thought it looked cool, and it was the cheapest thing in the shop. It was just easy for me at the time. Um, my grandma was pretty adamant about visiting the Chalmette Cemetery because we had an ancestor in the Battle of New Orleans. Um, it wasn't the main cemetery, so it was kind of an offshore one that it was an offshore cemetery that had it was because my great great grandpa was not white. So we were the only ones there, and we pulled up in the Uber and walked around, and I I saw shadows, and it was in a way where I if I looked directly at it, I couldn't see it, but if I looked away, I could see it, like when you're looking at something in the dark. Um, I pointed it out, and I thought it was weird, and everybody else was kind of not really focusing on the surroundings like that because they were looking for the grave in itself. Um, but once we got there, my grandma wanted to take a picture with the grave. So she touched it and kind of leaned on it. It was on the ground, so the body was buried in the dirt and the grave was there. And she touched it, took some pictures with it, and then by then we were just done there. So our Uber driver at the time was super cool. He hung around so we didn't have to wait for a ride back, and once we got in the Uber, my ears started ringing something fierce, like something I've never heard before. It was loud and almost unbearable. And I was like stroking the spirit, the witch's ball, sorry, the because it brought me some comfort, I think. I don't really know, but I I just was being quiet. Everybody else was talking with the Uber driver, and he was super cool. He showed us around, and the car ride lasted a long time, and it was very inconvenient to me because I really had to pee. I was hungry, my vapor was dying, and like all of I didn't really bother to look at my phone, but I bet that would have been dying too because the nature of the situation. Thinking back to it. Um, But yeah, that was super strange because I had just charged my vape that day as well. Um, but yeah, I was getting very irritable very fast though. And by the time we stopped in the Uber, we had to make it to the riverboat docking area because that was the plan for that day. I so as soon as I got out of the car, I had to break the one rule I set for myself, which was not to split up from the group because, you know, I had to make it to the nearest bathroom very fast. And so once I got back together with the group, I had been like, why didn't you guys come with me? Blah, blah, blah. Like, I was irritable, yelling at people around, not strangers, but I was yelling at my family, unfortunately. And
So you keep bringing that up that you were like irritable and that you
yeah,
were, is that very out of character for you?
yes.
Okay, so
Yeah,
this is
it's,
abnormal behavior. So they're like looking at you like, chill out.
yeah, it kind of takes a lot for me to get like that. And everybody in the group seemed to be out of character in their own right. Um, like my aunt, she's very controlled. How would you describe our aunt?
Like personality wise?
Hmm.
What do you mean by controlled?
Um, like she she's type A, very type A.
Okay, got it.
Um, but she seemed very aloof and kind of like giddy. Um, my grandma didn't seem very weird yet, but she was just quiet before the riverboat ride. Um, but there's more to come after that. My mom was pretty down on herself. You know, she I ended up making her cry, which is extremely out of character for me. I like as soon as I saw tears, I felt very bad about it. But yeah, so my mom's crying. I finally get some food before we get into the line. And so like I'm just mowing down on a sandwich as she's crying. My aunt is like no attention to anything else. And so we all get on the boat, right? Everything's chill. We're all calming down. We finally made it, right? And about halfway to the destination, which we later find out is the battlefield, the memorial battlefield. We didn't know that until we were halfway there on the riverboat. But my grandma starts getting super emotional and like she's talking about very nostalgic stuff. Like she went fishing once in her life on an Alaskan fishing boat, I believe. But every time I've heard her talking about it, she talks about how much she hated it and like just everything about it was just so rough for her and she just didn't like it altogether. But when we're on this riverboat, she's like in tears and talking about how much she misses it and how being on the water was the best days of her life. And I like I don't really know what to say, so I'm just comforting her the whole time. And you know, my name is Reina, and she goes like, "Oh, Reina, my queen," because Reina is queen in Spanish. And I never really seen her get very touchy feely, kind of like, you know, she's not really that affectionate very often. And we kind of put that on the margaritas, um, mimosas, not margaritas. Sorry, we kind of blame that on the mimosas for the time being. But once we get to the Chalmette battlefield, she's just not sobbing, but silently crying like a lot of the time. And so I'm holding her hand and guiding her through, and I kind of coach her through it so we can get our pictures and all that. But like her eyes are so red at this point, and we're that could just be from the tears, you know. But why she would be crying so much, we have no idea. And so I just kind of lead her through it and kind of comfort her. And we get back on the riverboat, and she is now acting like she got roofied. You know, like she can't really stand. I have to kind of keep her propped up. She's wanting to do crazy stuff like pass the velvet rope that leads to the bottom deck. And I could see from there, across the velvet rope, um, there's no railing on the edge of the boat. It's like 6 inches from the deck to the water and no railing. And I think that that's not safe at all. Even if I were to have a wild hair, I would not let her go down there. But she slips past it anyways, and I end up just picking her up and pulling her up the stairs. And some people look at me all weird. Strangers look at me weird because I'm, manhandling an old lady. I'm like, she's fine. Um, but so then we just get her sat down, and I'm telling my family, I'm like, hey, she's done, and she's asking for more mimosas, and we're like, no mimosas, and we distract her, and she's like, I'm gonna call your brother, and so we're like, okay, call my brother, and when she's talking to him, she's like, I don't remember the exact words, but it was just kind of like reaching out, in some way. And why she picked that time, we don't know. I mean, she does like to talk to the kids, but she won't just call out of the blue like that. Um, but that could also be normal behavior. But once the riverboat stops, we're all offloading with the crowd of people, and the employees of the the staff notice that she's having a hard time walking, and they offered her a wheelchair. She she's very stubborn, so she goes, "No, I don't want your wheelchair." And once we get back on dry land, I have to carry her for a few blocks, and she's a skinny lady, so I had no problem doing that. But once we get to the Cafe du Monde, which was our planned next stop, um, we kind of set her outside on a bench. Um, and the whole place is outside, but I sit with her because we don't want to go into the crowd like that. So I'm sitting on the bench, kind of babysitting my grandma, smoking her cigarettes because my vapor's dead. And so everybody else goes in, gets our beignets. And when I'm sitting with her, she's reaching out, trying to touch all these strangers. And like I said before, she's not very touchy-feely at all. She is not the type to be doing that kind of thing. And so I'm like, Grandma, you can't be doing that. And she explains her perspective is that she just wants to feel their energy. And that is pretty much the most wild thing you could say in the context of reaching out and trying to touch strangers. And I'm like, no, you can't be doing that. There's a lot of people out here you can't trust, and we're from a small town too, so it's like, why are you doing that? And so eventually a very tall, big man wearing all white encounters her, and he seemed like a friendly, even from me. Like I trusted him for some reason. Like I didn't feel like he had any bad energy to him, any bad juju. He got none of that. And so he kind of sat and knelt next to her and kind of talked her through whatever she was going through. And I let him. I mean, I was the one holding the bags and everything. I just, I didn't, I wasn't, he seemed like a friendly. And she got calmed down from whatever he was telling her. Like, whatever he told her, she kind of became more composed. And so I really don't know what he said to her, but it seemed to help a little bit. Anyways, once my family came back with the beignets, we decided we just had to get her home right away. Well, to the Airbnb. And so we had to cross the road to get to the Uber that was going to take us there. And she was all slumped over, like, pretty badly. And I got very stern with her, and I was like, Grandma, we're about to cross a freaking road. Get your shit together. Like, you gotta pull it together right now. And so what she says next, she says it in such a weird tone of voice. She goes like, she says that I'll do better, except it was in like a grumble kind of way. And so we were just like, oh my gosh, where did that come from? But next thing we know, she goes pin straight, chin up and everything. Kind of like a soldier, it reminded us. And so we tread along, go to the Uber, and she passes out immediately. And we're all just like, that was weird. That was kind of crazy. That we get home. I try to carry her out of the car, but she wakes up and is like, "Why are you touching me?" We're like, "Oh, there's the grandma we know." Um, but she's super tired, and we put her to bed, and she falls asleep immediately. And my aunt suggests that I put the smaller green version of this right above her head on the wall after we put her to bed. We also have some Palo Santo, which is kind of like a stick form of sage, is what my understanding is. It's like a wood, not a leaf. But we also did have sage that we put under her pillow too. But once we get her nice and tucked in, everybody else goes out and has a smoke break outside, except for my aunt, because she doesn't smoke. She was just staying with the group. I was I was in the bathroom again, and once I got finished up, I hear her in the bathroom through the bedroom, and she's throwing up. And it sounds pretty aggressive. So I kind of knock on the door. I go, "Grandma, are you okay?" And in a lower, deeper grumble voice kind of thing, she just tells me no. Like, it kind of freaked me out. And so I turn on the light so I can go through the room to the bathroom, because that's the kind of architecture of the house. Um, so I turn on that light, and it's not flickering, but it's strobing. Like, it's a solid da 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 da, like very powerful strobe in this light. And I turn it off out of just like, maybe it's an electrical issue kind of thing, and then I turn it back on, da 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 da. And so instead of just going straight through and checking on my grandma, I run over to the porch, and I just yell, "Someone get in here, some shit is going down." And then my aunt comes running in right after me. And I need to know that I wasn't just, tripping. I need to know that I wasn't seeing stuff. And my aunt sees it too. And so we just go straight in for my grandma. And she hasn't had any health issues. Like, she hadn't had any stomach issues, like nothing to warrant what we're seeing in this time. But she's throwing up black clumps, like black cottage cheese is what I could describe it as. Um, but yeah, that's what we saw, and the light is still strobing. My grandma's still throwing up. My aunt tells me to grab the witch's ball, and so I do. I hold on to the witch's ball, and I'm like, I've seen the movies. Like, what do you do next? I'm mad at whatever is messing with my family. And so I'm just like, get out of here. You're not welcome here. stop messing with my family, like, just yelling at whatever this entity is. And so, like, after doing that for a while, like maybe the fourth phrase that I yelled at this thing, I I shit you not, like, the light stops strobing, my grandma stops throwing up. Those happened at the exact same time, and the goosebumps just traveled down my arm like an electricity bolt or something from holding this thing. And we're like, oh my gosh, that just happened. Like, I show them my goosebumps. I'm like I'm feeling like a Ghostbuster, because that's kind of what it like like whatever happened with the witch's ball. I felt something like from the witch's ball traveled down my arm and back, um and we eventually decided that we don't want it in the house, so we put it in a little plant pot outside. And the night is still young too. It's like 5 p.m. in the area, and we're like, okay, well, grandma's asleep again. We're pretty sure she's good now. And she didn't wake up, and no weird things happened again to my grandma. And she was confused as to why I was yelling too. Once she stopped puking, she had no idea what was going on before the light stopped strobing. Anyways, so we put the witch's ball back into the plant outside. We decide that we need to go back out to town, see if anybody could help us, and have dinner, because we're all hungry. Um, so my grandma gets left with our family friend at the house, and we just want to make sure that somebody's there to keep an eye on her, and then the rest of us go out. Um, when we get into the next Uber, the Uber driver, bless this lady, she was so much help. As soon as we get in there, I'm sitting in the passenger seat, and I tell her everything that just happened, because I'm a yapper, but like, this stuff was kind of too crazy not to just talk about. So we tell her about the Chalmette Cemetery, we tell her about the riverboat ride, we tell her about the witch's ball, and like what to do with the witch's ball. And she says, actually, I have a daughter that is she's a practiced witch, and she can help you figure out what to do with it. And so what happens next, and she just goes, if you can trust me not to if you can trust me to pick you up after your dinner and retrieve the ball for you, I'll trust you not to leave me with it. And so later on, she picks us up with her daughter. Spirit, it's the witch's ball in hand. She explains to us that when her daughter went to retrieve it, she was wearing 2 earbuds that were Bluetooth, right? And when she touched it, just touching it, she could like feel static. She can hear static too across each earbud bouncing up across each other. And so she was like, "Oh shit, this is something. They're not crazy." And so they told us about that, and they concluded that what we needed to do was just return the witch's ball to the grave that we picked up this spirit at. And so that's exactly what we did. And it was like deep in the nighttime by then too. It was like it was dark, maybe 9 o'clock in the evening. But we went there in the dark and returned the ball to the grave, and we really had to look and find the right grave too, because it's just a lot of them. but we found it and put the spirit the sorry witch's ball back there, and we left some offerings like a cigarette and some change. Might have been something else, but stuff along those lines, right? And after that, we went back to the Airbnb, and we were like, that was kind of crazy, and just and along all of this, it's worth mentioning, I was drinking all throughout the day, and I did not feel drunk at all up until we got back to the Airbnb for the last time. And it all just hit me at once. I don't know if it was the adrenaline or like an instinct in me or something. I don't know, but it just all hit me at once. But I still like we all still kept seeing stuff throughout that trip. Um, like we kept seeing shadows. Um, you know how people talk about like seeing spirit orbs kind of bumbling everywhere. Uh, I saw one of those. It was black and it flew in through the door on this side, kind of bumbled around and flew right back into the vent on the ceiling. Um, I was actually on the phone when that happened with my sister, and I talked about it. I was like, you know what? It didn't hurt nobody. Like, okay then, but that was still kind of crazy. Um, but yeah, that's kind of the end of all the like majorly crazy that happened on that trip.
Well, that's an incredible story. It sounds like some of the situations they were pretty high stress.
Yeah,
So what is your overall theory on what you think happened?
I really do think that something attached itself to my grandma. It might not be our dead relative from the battle, but it might have been like another person from the graveyard. But like, I do definitely believe that something attached itself to my grandma. It might have not completely overtook,
Do
but
you think that something attached itself to your grandmother, and then do you also think maybe with the energy that you felt in the spirit ball or the witch's ball, that you also got something in that as well?
I I think so. It's kind of hard to say because when I was reading more into the witch's ball, kind of like on the internet, right? It said something about trapping spirits, trapping negative spirits. And I think that's what happened. Like I don't think it reached me because I had the ball in between, but
So it sounds
yeah,
like it worked then.
I guess so.
It's worth the $10 at the gift shop, huh?
I was super bummed that I had to get rid of it though. So my aunt bought me this other one.
I don't think you want that other one. That other one sounds too hot.
No, I was super careful not to accidentally trap another spirit.
All right. Well, Raina, that's an awesome story. I really appreciate you sharing it with me. Is there any last thing that you want to say? Anything about the spirits that you saw at the beginning? Anything about the orb that you saw?
Um, the one thing I do want to say is that I don't think that they were malevolent at all. I don't think that they meant any harm. Like they just might have wanted to be included in whatever we had going on. One thing about that is later after that, when we were still on the town, I was in yet another bathroom. Um, I can hear the bar music playing out on the floor, right? And it's just some song. I didn't really pay attention to it until I felt a presence in there with me, right? And I out loud, I was like, you know what? I've already had enough of this shit for this week. Let me just enjoy my time with my family and just enjoy our vacation. And it wasn't the end of whatever song was playing out there, but it skips to Cyndi Lauper's Girls Just Want to Have Fun. And I was like, thank you. So we just went about our day.
So that's the second time on this trip that you had openly, talked to spirits. Have you done that in the past before, or did that just come to you and it just felt like the right thing to do?
Um, it kind of just came to me. I didn't really, I wasn't even like fully confident in knowing that something was in there with me. I just kind of did it like as a just in case kind of thing. Like I'm not gonna claim to be a medium or anything because I can't, like, it's not clear to me whenever a spirit is around, unless they make it obvious, like the orb or the shadows.
Hmm.
But like I don't know what they're saying unless they're talking through song apparently. But yeah, it just kind of felt right at the time to talk to it.
Okay, so you're gonna go back to New Orleans.
Oh, I would love to go back there one day. That that was insane.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad it didn't scare you off. You're gonna get another spirit orb when you go out there?
Probably not. I'm good with the one that has nothing in it.
Fair. All right, Raina. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. It was an amazing share. I hope you have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.